I wanted to destroy my TCG business in 2026, then these are the things that I would do. So number one, if I wanted to speed run total destruction, I would build my reputation around having the lowest prices. A lot of people in the TCG space believe that the cards are just game pieces and should be basically free for people who want to play the games. And so if I was going to destroy my TCG business this year, what I would do is I would cater to these demands and I would mark things down to the lowest possible price because I want to be liked by Reddit and Discord. And I would sell all of my cards for a penny, 10 cents, whatever the market price is, or what, match TCG lowest. And I would scramble to get all my orders out in time, lose money on orders, chase product and mark it down and make less than other people and leave money on the table on purpose because I don't want to step on any toes and I don't want to offend anyone with my pricing. And let's say I didn't necessarily care about my reputation too much. Let's just say that I wanted to have a high order volume. I wanted to sell a lot of cards because it makes me feel better about the business to be busy. I just want to be busy. So again, like setting low prices. And the consequence of this, as I imagine you can already think of, is that I'm probably not going to last very long because that's just what happens. When people set their prices too low, then eventually they come to the realization that the juice is not worth the squeeze. They can't make money, like any money. They're just losing money fulfilling these orders. And then, or sometimes what I also see is because I will place large orders with people who have a lot of stuff at low prices, and then they will cancel the orders because they're like, oh, I'm a small business. I can't fulfill an order like this without losing money. And I don't really have a whole lot of sympathy for that because I also am a small business and I have figured out how to fulfill large orders without losing money on them. And I have set my pricing in such a way that suits the way that I want to conduct my business and does not require me to cancel large orders. And so, I see people complaining all the time, oh, I got a large order, I hate having to ship out, 20 cards, 30 cards at a time. Okay, raise your prices. A lot of the people who give up on their trading card businesses within the first 6 or 12 months, one of the main reasons that they do that is because their prices are too low. So that is the first thing that I would do if I wanted to speed run total destruction of my TCG business in 2026. The next thing I would do if I wanted to destroy my TCG business in 2026 is I would refuse to invest in any tools or systems that would allow me to buy back my time. So that means I would always be looking for the cheapest materials exclusively. And I would not take any risks with how I acquire inventory or buying a scanner, or I certainly would not invest in the Roka sorter or in SwordSwift to help with inventory management because I don't want to spend a penny, a single unnecessary penny. I just want to have the lowest costs possible. And the consequence of this is that my TCG business would become a massive, unpleasant time sink. And even if my pricing was correct, it's only going to be a matter of time before I burn out. I mean, for a number of reasons. A, it just is going to come back around where it's just too much of a time investment for too little return. But B, also, it's going to stop being fun. Because the thing about being a human is that, our brain especially if you are an entrepreneur. Like, you are optimized, cognitively optimized to solve problems. And so if you are not solving problems in your business, and instead you're just nurturing the status quo constantly, it's only a matter of time before you start to hate your business. And when you hate your business, you give up. That's why, number one, low prices would kill a TCG business in under a year. And that's also why refusing to invest in solutions will also kill a TCG business in under a year. The third thing I would do to kill my TCG business in 2026 is I would chase trends and stir up controversy just to get clicks and views and attention. People who want to monetize content on YouTube and get a lot of views and grow a big channel often will chase trends, stir up controversy, create problems, and then often something happens, something scary happens, something just really unpleasant happens. Your posts get shared in a Reddit community or a Discord, and you start getting review bombed. Some sort of negative, unexpected, unintended, undesirable negative consequence happens because you have made it your business model to try to get money from content by chasing trends and stirring up controversy. And for a lot of people, I mean myself included, if my brand started to become like exclusively a thing attracting negative attention, it's not going to be worth the stress. It's not going to be worth like getting doxxed and getting constant threats, complaints, criticisms. A certain amount of that negative stuff is guaranteed just because you are building a business and you're building a brand and you're putting yourself out there to be in public. But the way that you go about it is going to invite either more trouble or less trouble. And in my opinion, I am not going to steward a super troublesome business for very long when there are less troublesome opportunities for me to steward. So that's number 3, is I would chase trends and controversy and just always have to stay, build a business that always requires me to be like on this rat wheel of drama and content. Number 4, if I wanted to destroy my business in 2026, I would pay myself too much. And so this is going to be an uncomfortable one for some people. This is a lesson that I've had to learn with my main business. When I first started my blue-collar business, I was paying myself about 50% of the revenue that I brought in, and it was pretty cool. Felt really good. I was making great money, paying myself well, able to grow. But what ended up happening is that I was starving the business. I wasn't really setting enough aside for taxes, and so I ended up having to pay a long-term consequence on that and having to pay back the IRS because I didn't take out enough. I was not building like an emergency fund and an operating account for me to take advantage of opportunities on purchasing supplies in bulk, or like when things happened and I needed to buy a new tool or get repairs on the truck, I would have to wait longer because I was extracting too much out of the business to pay myself. And that turned my business from a comfortable cash flowing asset into a kind of simmering problem that I always had to manage. And that'll happen to your TCG business too if you try to take too much money out of it. And the fact of these TCG businesses is that they're low margins. Your actual hourly rate coming out of the business is probably not going to be great compared to whatever day job that you have. But that's not really the purpose for most people to start a small TCG business. The purpose is to have like a productive side hustle, to learn and practice entrepreneurship, and to turn what otherwise would be dead, wasted time where you're just sitting around at home doom scrolling or watching TV or playing video games, or worse, like going out and getting into trouble or spending a bunch of money that you don't really have. Starting a little TCG business is a great way to redeem a lot of that time. And your TCG business is going to struggle and suffer and starve if you take too much money out of it. So let it be a side hustle. So if I wanted to destroy my TCG business in under a year, I would not approach it with a side hustle mentality. Instead, I would push too hard, too fast, trying to go full time, trying to build a massive channel, and I would set a pace that is unsustainable, burn out, and shut down after a couple of months of deciding that it's just not worth the trouble and the anxiety and the opportunity cost of the hours that I'm taking away from other important areas of my life. Number 5. I've talked about this in other videos. The 5th thing that I would do if I wanted to destroy my TCG business in 2026 is I would compare my business and my experience and my success to other people. I would go watch Rudy videos and I would say, man, I don't stand a chance of ever getting to his level. And I would decide it's not worth it because I can't be the best. Or I would look at Brian and I would say, man, there's no way I can catch up with Brian. And I would decide that it's not worth even trying because I can't be the best, or I can't, be on top. I can't have a $5 million a year Pokemon business. Or I would look at Rob and I'd say, man, there's no way that I'm going to be able to start a store with like a big warehouse, 6,000 square feet. Like, there's no way. So I'm just not even going to try. Comparison. I would compare myself to others. And even just like, I'm in a couple Discords. People talk about their success. There are a lot of people in those Discords that are way more successful than me. They're moving more product at higher prices. I don't see the back end of the business, so I don't know what it all looks like, but I definitely know for a fact that there are lots of people with a lot more free time than I have, because the way that I have built my business eats up a lot of my free time. And that's the trade-off. If I allow myself to compare what I'm doing to what everyone else is doing, I'm going to make myself unhappy. Or worse, I'm going to start trying to reorient how I do things and what works for me to instead match what I think I should be doing because I see what other people are doing. And then I'm going to start to hate that because I'm following a path that I think I should follow instead of following a path that I have chosen for myself. So yeah, if I wanted to destroy my TCG business in 2026, then I would make sure that I do those things. I put them in my calendar and make sure that I'm doing them every day, every week, to speed run total destruction of my TCG business and make myself as unhappy as possible. Now, if that is not what you want to do with your TCG business, then my advice is going to be to do the opposite of all those things and strategically think through the structure of your business and build it in such a way that you can steward it joyfully for a long time. That way you don't burn out and give up like most people do in your first 6 months. And of course, if you like trading cards and you want to buy some from me, visit www.getdkc.com. See you later.